Welcome back to 5D Mystery School. Today's lecture, I'm going to do my best not to get this video banned on YouTube. All right. I did a lecture a few years ago. I want to say back in 2020 or 2021 about cannabis and how cannabis has been genetically modified, a lot of cannabis. And some of the symptoms of this genetically modified cannabis would be like psychosis, paranoia. Some even would say, quote unquote, schizophrenia. Okay. Now, I'm going to bring up a slideshow that I created. This lecture is going to involve a lot of words, reading, but also some pictures and some videos so people don't get bored. But the information that is presented in this lecture, I believe to be very important, and it deserves many ears because a lot of people, majority of the people in the United States are being affected. Okay. So before I get started, if you want to see this channel reach more people, go ahead before you even watch this video, give me a like for support. And once you finish watching the video, if you like the material, leave a comment so that we can interact with each other. And if you've been here a few times, go ahead and hit subscribe so that way and hit the notification bell so you can get notified on when I do release new videos, since YouTube is going to be my main platform that I do content creation on. Okay. This video might be labeled controversial by some. The information is important. My intent is not to offend anybody. Okay. But if you do leave this video feeling any type of way, like offended, I would sit with that and ask why. So without further ado, let's get into it. So the title of this lecture today is Sterile Seeds. And the foundation of the information I'm going to present is corn corruption, but it goes way beyond corn, but corn being the common denominator of what I'm going to be discussing today. Okay. So, and here's where the reading starts, but I will mix in, some visuals, some articles and things so that you can better solidify this in your consciousness. Estimates suggest that up to 75% of processed foods in the United States supermarkets contain some form of corn derivative. Okay. Sweeteners, high fructose corn syrup, dextrose, maltodextrin. On my herbal page, Astro Herbs, I warned people about maltodextrin years ago because oftentimes when people catch on to one thing, like high fructose corn syrup or dextrose, then they'll add in something else. And most people don't look at the labels of what they're eating, especially with, packaged foods. It's harder to see on things like cucumbers and pickles and apples because they don't have food labels that you can read. But on packaged foods, if you look at the back of packaged foods, it has an ingredient list. And majority of the packaged foods that I've seen in the store now say maltodextrin. Pause this video, go look in your pantry, and count the amount of packaged foods that you have that says either maltodextrin, high fructose corn syrup, or dextrose. Because if any of your food packages say these words, this video is especially for you. Hey, and I'm not innocent as well. I've consumed foods that had, maltodextrin, high fructose corn syrup. So I'm not coming from the perspective of being better than or elitist or anything like that. Okay. Which I don't do now because when you know better, you do better. Thickeners and stabilizers, cornstarch, xanthan gum, additives, citric acid, absorbic acid, and other preservatives. Okay. beverages, pops, or you may say sodas, fruit juices, alcoholic drinks. Side note, I really don't know why people drink alcohol. I used to, so I don't want to judge. I used to drink wine, but it has zero health benefits. And they may tell you that red wine has some health benefits, but you're going to have to consume a lot of red wine just to derive those health benefits. Okay. Snacks like chips, crackers, energy bars, condiments, salad dressings. You might think that salad dressings are safe. Okay. Ketchups, sauces. Also, let me warn, this video is going to take a turn that most people are not expecting. This video is really going to talk about like cannabis and some other things as well. Okay. Dairy products, ice cream, cheese spreads, yogurts. Oh, I have corn. Now, PGRs. What are these? PGRs, like the ones listed here, are banned in some countries for use in food crops but found in illegal cannabis. Paclobutrazol, daminazide, and chloromiquate chloride. Now, back in the video that I did years ago, I included Dr. Tyrone Hayes. All right, he went to Harvard. I believe he got his PhD. Oh, yeah, here you go, Berkeley. Did groundbreaking research on atrazine, showing its causes castration in male frogs. He used African horned frogs. You read that right. Chemical castration in frogs, turning male frogs into females using a very, very low dosage. We're going to inch our way close to the rabbit hole. We're not going to go super deep in the rabbit hole, but we're definitely going to jump in the rabbit hole. Okay. Now, here's where I'll stop and I'll show you. Well, let me just read this and then I'll show you a video. Okay. Atrazine, a widely used agricultural herbicide, has been detected in tap water. Okay. Just for transparency, with the advent of artificial intelligence, instead of me typing up all of these pages myself, which can be time consuming and meticulous, I pretty much speak my entire lecture into an AI chatbot, and then I have them structured for me in a way that I can copy and paste. So just to keep my integrity, all of the words that you're seeing are coming from my mind, especially since I already done a lecture on this years ago before chatbots were, readily available. But this is me repeating a lecture because I see that the message truly didn't get through to a lot of people. Okay. So, atrazine, a widely used agricultural herbicide, has been detected in tap water supplies across the United States. Tap water. I mean, I don't know anybody that drinks tap water, but some people do. Okay. According to the Environmental Working Group, EWG, in 2015, atrazine was found in more than 800 water systems in 19 states at levels exceeding health protective guidelines. Atrazine is known to disrupt endocrine systems. Hello? What does that mean? It can prevent people from having babies. It can make your semen no good. It can cause identity crisis, meaning that men will start to be more feminine and women will start to be more masculine. And people that take this, it would affect your baby. So let's say if you have a baby that says like, I was born gay. Yeah, technically, because the fetus was destructed by these herbicides. A study published in National Institutes of Health database found that atrazine concentrations in drinking water were associated with adverse birth outcomes, including low birth weight and preterm birth. Another reason why the birth rate is decreasing. Men aren't having a lot of babies, especially like certain races of people. In 2012, Syngenta, remember that because we're going to talk about more about Syngenta. You might have heard me talk about Syngenta back in 2021 a few times, but we're going to get back into it. The primary manufacturer of atrazine. I repeat, Syngenta is the primary manufacturer of atrazine. Side note, Syngenta also plays a part in the seed bank. That fortress that saves like all the seeds in Switzerland in case of a major apocalypse. Syngenta plays a large part in that. Okay. It's the reason why the name of this lecture is titled Sterile Seeds. They settled the lawsuit for $105 million to reimburse more than 1,000 water systems for the cost of filtering atrazine from drinking water. Let me show you this video.
I like solving the puzzle. I like the CSI. I also like frogs, and so I also feel a real drive to help understand how pesticides and other chemicals are affecting amphibian populations.
Hayes and his students have been looking for clues in the Salinas Valley.
50% of the U.S.'s agricultural products come out of California. It's something like 85% of the country's lettuce comes out of Salinas, 90% of the almonds. It's called the salad bowl of America. California uses more pesticides than any other state. The second biggest is Florida. Things like chlorpicrin is used out here on the strawberries. Chlorpicrin is a nerve gas. These are guys who are applying it, they're out there picking it. Methyl bromide is a fumigant, something you pump into the soil. What are some of the other big ones, you guys? Some atrazine. This will all end up in the river that we're working in here. It might look like we're out in the bush somewhere, but 15 feet on either side, we're surrounded by agriculture, and the runoff ends up in this river. All of the algae is a result of all the nutrients, because a lot of fertilizers are used in agriculture. And once those fertilizers get into the water, you get these blooms of algae. I wouldn't say it's a sign of a healthy river. This is a site where we typically find compromised immune systems, tadpoles that aren't able to fight off disease. Our data so far suggests that the mixture of pesticides causes an increase in stress hormones, and those stress hormones cause immunosuppression, which leads to the inability to respond to any kind of disease pathogen.
Hayes is testing the effects of chemicals like atrazine, a common herbicide.
We have a whole family of animals where we've eliminated the female chromosome.
Specimen 01.
These animals that we know are genetic males have been exposed to atrazine for their entire life. And many of these genetic males now are turning into females. You can see he's got eggs that kind of look like they're in a sack. These are actually yolked eggs ready to be laid. What's happening is you're skewing sex ratios. You can get genetic bottlenecking, which can cause crashes. And quite frankly, if you're a genetic male, it'd be nice if you developed as a genetic male. And now we have a chemical very common in the environment that's effectively sex reversing animals. I'm going to show you something pretty amazing, scientifically speaking. The one that's sort of remarkable is this pair. These are both males. The one on the bottom, acting as the female, we affectionately refer to as Darnell. He's a genetic male that not only acts like a female, he lays eggs like a female. She has been exposed to atrazine all of her life. I don't even really know how to reference it. This is Darnell's third clutch. So Darnell has sons and daughters that we've grown up. You can see eggs in the bottom. This is actually her second clutch for today. She has been copulating for getting close to 24 hours now. This is probably one of the most remarkable things I've seen in my work. But I personally have mixed emotions. I'm very excited about the science and trying to understand the mechanism. But on the other hand, I am worried. This is the most common contaminant in ground and surface water and drinking water. And the level of atrazine that it took to make this male turn into a female is 3 times less than what's allowed in our drinking water.
Look, I'm not gonna sit up here and say,
Nigga, you gay.
but as you've seen, atrazine, a very small dosage, is turning this male frog into a female. It's creating hermaphrodites. From my observation, all right, and I'm minding my own business. So if you want to be, homosexual, you want do you. I'm not judging you. I promise you that's your life. I'm just presenting facts that are contributing factors to the increase of homosexuality. Okay. This is why you might see, let me show you a photo. So Little Uzi, other rappers who wear skirts, purses, are feminine, right? Again, I'm not judging. These are just observations. They're not the only one. You look in low and impoverished neighborhoods where most of these chemicals are being pushed, you're going to see a lot of men acting like women, women acting like men. This is not natural. All right. So this article comes from EWG. Atrazine, a harmful weed killer, taints tap water for millions of the United States. Now, I'm not going to read this entire article. That would be boring. But I am going to point out just a few things here. Atrazine, a widely used agricultural weed killer that disrupts hormones, contaminates tap water supplies for about 7.6 million Americans at potentially harmful levels, but the federal government is doing little to counter the threat. Based on water tests by public water systems nationwide, shows that in 2015, atrazine was detected in more than 800 systems in 19 states at levels exceeding a health protective guideline. That's all I need to say. High levels of atrazine were found in 237 water systems serving more than 3 million people in Texas and 192 systems serving more than 1 million people in Kansas. So it's not just fluoride that you have to worry about in your water supplies. It's this endocrine disruptor that is causing low birth weight, that's causing men to be more feminine, women to be more masculine. Scientists would probably say what I'm saying is farce. Matter of fact, Syngenta tried to discredit Dr. Tyrone Hayes and saying that everything that he was saying was untrue, even though he had the empirical evidence to back his statements. National Library of Medicine, NIH. I don't really like to use NIH because of their connections, but atrazine contamination of drinking water and adverse birth outcomes in community water systems with elevated atrazine in Ohio, 2006 to 2008. Again, you can just hit the pause button and read this. Atrazine results suggest that atrazine exposure is associated with reduced birth weight among term infants, and that exposure to atrazine in drinking water in early and mid-pregnancy may be most critical for its toxic effects on the fetus. So before the baby is even born, their body is compromised. Let's say in Dr. Tyrone Hayes and his studies, a grandchild who's never had any type of contact with atrazine, he did his test on mice, on rats, could develop breast cancer, could develop these problems with their endocrine systems, could have hormonal changes to their body, even if they never been exposed to the chemical because of their grandparent being exposed to the chemical. Now, this disrupts generations of people. Like Dr. Tyrone Hayes said, now we're fighting for, even though I don't have children, I'm going to say it as I do, we're fighting for our grandchildren, because a lot of us, if not all of us, have already been exposed to a lot of these contaminants. Okay. Let's get back to the lecture or the slides. Syngenta is a global agricultural technology company headquartered in Basel, Switzerland. Now, this part is important. It was formed in 2000 by the merger of Novartis Agribusiness and AstraZeneca. Yes, AstraZeneca is the company that was involved in exactly what you think they were involved in. I can't say it on YouTube because this video will get banned, but just look up AstraZeneca and worldwide experiments that they were recently connected to. Like I said, this rabbit hole goes very deep and it has a lot to do with DNA. In 2017, Syngenta was acquired by China National Chemical Corporation, ChemChina. Hello? Subsequently, in 2020, ChemChina consolidated its agricultural assets with those of Sinochem, another Chinese state-owned enterprise, to form Syngenta Group. The Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation invested in Age Biome via its strategic investment fund. And yes, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation is connected to Syngenta. Now, what does Syngenta have to do with marijuana and cannabis? Well, we're going to get to that here in a second. Gates' agricultural efforts often promote bioengineering, gene editing, and digital agriculture in Africa and the global South. Bill Gates is always worried about Africa. Anyway, where companies like Syngenta and Bayer gain new markets. Bayer, Monsanto, Bayer. Now, Age Biome, okay, which the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation and Syngenta invested in millions in this startup or backed this startup, Age Biome. Now, what is the main focus of Age Biome? Seed control. They say it's to create, they're focused on they're using a Trojan horse. They're focused on preserving seeds and understanding seeds and the DNA of seeds, but come on, bro. Anyway, seed control refers to corporate ownership, regulation, and genetic manipulation of seeds. So when a lot of people think that they are getting uncontaminated seeds, they're actually getting genetically modified seeds. So the produce you grow, the fruit that you bear from those seeds are already genetically modified. So you're messing with seeds at the DNA level. Okay. Which are the foundation of agriculture. This isn't limited to cannabis or corn. Watermelon, green beans, cucumbers, corn, tomatoes, carrots, lettuce, wheat, soy, barley, herbs like basil, cilantro, and garlic. And yes, those can be cloned. Why y'all gotta mess with watermelon, man? Why do you think a lot of your produce are seedless now? They're selling organic seedless produce at Whole Foods. That's a misnomer. Organic foods cannot be seedless. So they're producing seeds that can only grow for one generation. They can't reproduce themselves, meaning that when I get my watermelon, there are not going to be any seeds so that I can grow more watermelon. So this is what I like to call a corptocracy. Okay. I'm very proud of corptocracy because I feel like it's a nice slogan. You can use it if you want, but just know you heard it here first. Monsanto, bought by Bayer. Syngenta, owned by ChemChina, Sinochem. Age Biome, funded by Syngenta and the Gates Foundation. Gates owns a lot of farmland in the United States. Did you know, side note, this is worth mentioning, that the fries that you get from McDonald's are mostly produced now by Bill Gates? Seeds are altered at the DNA level, often to resist herbicides like Roundup, produce pesticides internally, grow faster or bigger, be more uniform for commercial farming. So you're messing with seeds before they even get a chance to bear the fruit. Companies like Monsanto, Bayer, Syngenta, Coverta own patents on GMO seeds. Farmers cannot legally save or replant these seeds. They must buy new seeds each season. If a non-GMO farmer crops get contaminated by GMO pollen, the corporation can sue them for patent infringement. This has happened multiple times. Suicide seeds, Terminator technology. Some GMO seeds are designed to be sterile after one generation, meaning they can't reproduce, forcing farmers to buy new seeds every season. Do you remember back in 2020, I believe, when a lot of farmers were reporting that there was strange happenings with their hens and their chickens? Their hens weren't laying eggs, and they were narrowing it down to the seeds or the food that they were feeding the chickens and the hens that was causing them not to produce eggs. Officially, these technologies were halted due to global outcry, but the tech still exists and could be reintroduced covertly. If genetically modified seeds are widely distributed, especially to small farmers or even through contaminated community through seed exchanges, the food people grow will be genetically modified. Over time, ancestral, heirloom, indigenous seed lines get erased. Corporations control not just agriculture, but entire food systems, nutrition, and even reproductive health. They don't have to mess with your reproductive rights. They can put it right in the food. Why ban abortion when they can grow the food that cause you to not have babies? And some GMO crops and chemicals affect hormones. So, GMO seeds, chemical dependency, fertilizers, soil depletion, more GMO products, pesticides, bees die off. We need bees for pollination. We need bees to breathe. Pollination crisis, patents, no saving seeds, farmer debt, contamination, indigenous seeds wiped out, meaning that majority of the natural fruit bearing seeds that you know of will be reproduced or genetically engineered because there's going to be a food crisis where food just isn't growing anymore. 3D printed food is going to be a real thing. I've been talking about this since 2020. Check the tweets for the receipts. GMO food is going to be a real no, 3D printed food is going to be a real thing. It already is. A lot of people are already eating 3D printed food unbeknownst to them. Fast food chains. Corn. Corn derivatives are extensively used in fast food items. Animal feed. Studies have shown that the majority of beef and chicken used in fast food are sourced from animals fed primarily on corn-based diets. Cooking oils. Approximately 69% of national fast food chains use corn oil or blends containing corn oil for frying, compared to 20% of independent restaurants. Now, let's get into some articles that so we can further substantiate what this is saying here. Now, here's an article from Science America that I would suggest you take a look at, or Scientific America, that if this interests you, maybe you should read this. Okay. That burger you're eating is mostly corn. If you thought you were eating mostly if you thought you were eating mostly grass-fed beef when you bite into a Big Mac, think again. The bulk of a fast food hamburger from McDonald's, Burger King, or Wendy's is made from cows that eat primarily corn, or so says a new study of the chemical composition of more than 480 fast food burgers from across the nation. Now, remember what I said about Syngenta? Do you think that Syngenta is connected to some of these fast food restaurants? Hold that thought. From supply side, supplement journal, fast food oil or fast food chains using corn oil. As reported by Bloomberg, while fast food giants McDonald's, Burger King, Wendy's, Arby's Group said they switched to vegetable fry oils to remove trans fats, raise cholesterol levels and may increase the risk of cardiovascular disease. The researchers found the fry oil currently used by chains includes corn oil that is higher in saturated fats. I don't know why in 2025 people are still eating fast food. It is spiritual protection to cook your own food and to know the source of your food. Where's your food coming from? I've been telling people for the past 5 years to collect seeds. Seeds that from people you can trust, from suppliers you can trust. Seeds are going to be like gold. I've been saying this for a long time. Seeds are going to be like gold, real food. People are going to be seeking real food. It's not hard to grow your own food. You can go to Lowe's or Home Depot, get a cinder block, turn it where the holes are facing up, put some soil in there, put some coconut hull in there, all right, coconut hull, get some plotting mix, put your seeds down in there, a half a finger into the soil, get a spray bottle, spray it with water. Boom, you got your food growing. Growing your own food is spiritual protection. Sweeteners. High fructose corn syrup derived from corn is a common sweetener in beverages and condiments offered by fast food establishments. If you walk into McDonald's, next time you walk into any fast food place you're going to, don't matter if it's Chick-fil-A, which uses canola oil, 90 to 95% of canola oil is genetically modified. Matter of fact, science won't back this, but I'll say 99.9% of canola oil is genetically modified. There's no canola plant. You might say, oh, rapeseed. Okay, but still produces canola oil, which is genetically modified, has no health benefits. It clogs your heart. I've been in the I've been in the not the fast food, but the restaurant business for over 15 years. I'm not in it anymore, but I was. I worked every position from busboy, dishwasher to general manager. Actually, I don't think I was ever technically a dishwasher, but I did do dishwashing a few times. So I know the ins and outs of the restaurant business. Okay. Syngenta, an agrochemical and seed company, has partnered with McDonald's and its meat supplier, Lopez Foods, to enhance the sustainability of beef production. This collaboration involves the use of Syngenta's EcoGen corn, 100% purely genetically modified, a genetically modified variety designed to improve feed efficiency in cattle. By incorporating Enogen corn into cattle feed, the initiative aims to reduce greenhouse gas emissions associated with beef production. Okay, this comes from leafwell.com. What is PGR cannabis? For everybody that just came here for cannabis, the cannabis talk, this part is for you. Now, what you see here without the PGRs, without the performance growth regulators, this light, fluffy marijuana, softer, less dense. Now, if it has PGRs, it's solid, it's dense, like somebody glued it together. They are pushing this genetically modified marijuana into majority black communities the same way they funneled crack back in the 80s. Now, a lot of people say, man, if I was alive in the 80s, there's no way the government would have got me. Bro, gotcha. If you smoking this GMO weed, gotcha. And one thing that I've noticed about this marijuana is that it's more addictive. People are like, you got any more of them nugs? Like it's crack. PGR weed is cannabis grown with plant growth regulators. Okay. I like to call them performance growth regulators because that's what they do. Some cannabis growers raise plant growth regulator crops to enhance growth patterns and fatten up valuable marijuana buds. PGR buds are thicker and denser than those grown without plant growth regulators. But these plant hormones are not the best way to achieve healthy cannabis yield. How to recognize PGR cannabis. The main difference between PGR cannabis and natural cannabis is that PGR cannabis is grown with synthetic hormones, hormone regulators, endocrine disruptors. Do you know who supplies PGRs? Syngenta, China. Gotcha. While natural cannabis is not, plant growth regulators and PGR cannabis also lend a different appearance to crops. Here are some ways you can distinguish between PGR cannabis and natural cannabis. Now, PGRs are not only for cannabis, they use them in all different crops. Okay, food. PGR cannabis has harder, denser, and heavier buds. PGR cannabis leaves contain fewer crystals than natural cannabis leaves. Like these are trichomes. Now, when you put marijuana, and I would consider myself to be a cannabis connoisseur, but I only use cannabis, let's say like 3 months out of the year. I have a very healthy relationship with cannabis. I don't need it every day. I can smoke today and then not smoke for a year. Other people, if they smoke today, it would take them a long time to wean off of that cannabis. You have to develop spiritual integrity, not be codependent on these plants. Yes, your body has an endocannabinoid system, so you're literally meant to take in cannabis, which is one of the reasons they are disrupting the way that it affects your body. The cannabis you're smoking now is not the same cannabis they were smoking in the 70s that had them, reaching like stages of enlightenment, you can say, one in peace. Now people smoke cannabis and they want war. You don't, hello? PGR cannabis may feel wet or spongy, while natural cannabis has a drier texture. Another way to tell PGR cannabis from natural cannabis is to break off a piece. Natural cannabis is fragrant with terpenes and flavonoids. You know anything about terpenes? Limonene, myrcene? Real cannabis connoisseurs know that the THC content is okay, but the terpenes is where it's at. How do you want to feel? You want to feel relaxed? Do you have a headache? You got pain? Those are the terpenes, okay? But PGR cannabis has very little scent. Like what? Well, they changed it now. They changed it to where when you break apart that marijuana, they use a spray, and now it does smell what they call loud, unnaturally loud. Like you can put it in a Ziploc and it is unnatural, right? It's sprayed. They got this Delta 8 THC, they got THCA, they got a whole bunch of different flavors that use synthetic spray. Likewise, the taste of PGR marijuana is inferior to the rich flavors of natural marijuana. Now, the marijuana that if you happen to come across some nice, real natural marijuana, it tastes like it was just grown out of the soil, like fresh soil, some Maui Wowie, right? Some Blue Dream. And it's when you smoke synthetic marijuana, it's like even when you're smoking it, it smells chemically. It smells synthetic. It doesn't smell like the nice, flavorful, natural scent that cannabis is supposed to smell like. And I'll show you some more images of synthetic marijuana and natural marijuana just so that you can use discernment moving forward if you're going to continue using marijuana in the way that you do. A telltale sign of PGR cannabis is harsh chemical lace flavor, like I just said. Finally, PGR cannabis may make you feel different when you consume it. This difference is due to the lower THC content of PGR weed and the PGR chemicals themselves. And PGR chemicals may quickly intoxicate you and cause a crash in which you feel lethargic and heavy-headed. So you feel it like right away. You're like, "Oh, I'm high, I'm high." And then it goes away fast, and then you got to keep smoking more. You got to keep smoking more. You got to keep going back to the dispensaries. Gotcha. Okay. Let's go to some of these patents. Here's a patent: breeding, production, processing, and use of specialty cannabis. This was patented back in 2014, 11 years ago. How long you think this marijuana's been going around? Oh, but wait, there's more. This person that patented that has all of these different patents. Look at this. They're growing their own plants, happy pineapple, rainbow gummies, and cannabinoid extracts. Going back to 1999. Sit with that. How long do you think this has been going around? Like people weren't just the way that this reaches people is through like those street suppliers you think you can trust, through the dispensaries you think you can trust. It doesn't say White House Corp on it. It doesn't say, oh, supported by the government. But how do you think the crack got into the neighborhoods in the 80s? There was a reporter that reported it was the government supplying the crack to the neighborhoods, and that reporter was offed. Who do you think is supplying this genetically modified marijuana to these neighborhoods and using, street dealers as a front? Got to use spiritual discernment. Now, I just want to show you some more photos, of the difference between, you know, the marijuana that has these performance growth regulators or plant growth regulators and the marijuana that doesn't. Okay. Now, some of it is hard to tell, right? Like these are the ones with no PGR, light, fluffy, less dense. Here's PGR. Show this to the average person, they wouldn't know the difference. They wouldn't. Without PGRs, looser, right? Looks like a natural nug. With PGRs, looks like somebody glued it together. It's hard. A lot of the marijuana that I've been seeing people smoke is this right here. A lot of the dispensary marijuana, especially in like just low income neighborhoods, a lot of those dispensaries in Los Angeles, even some in Michigan, New Mexico, Arizona. I've been in dispensaries all over the United States, and a lot of them have PGR marijuana. You tell me, is this PGR or no PGR? Yes, that's PGR. Without PGRs, now this is that natural looking. Like when you see this, if if you're gonna, burn it down and the person shows up with this or you show up with this, fair play. Good job. Bravo. But if they have this, nah, bro, I'm good. I'm good. I don't want it. That's gonna do more harm than helping. Yeah, it might get you, blazed immediately, but your head's gonna be hurting. You're gonna be paranoid. You're gonna start thinking that your ops are out to get you, even though you don't have any ops. You're in the suburbs, you know? It's causing a lot of paranoia. That paranoia can lead to, I mean, it's a deep rabbit hole. You're over somebody's house, you think that you're somebody's trying to get you, and then you take action based off of your own paranoia. Paranoia is tricky. It's Paranoia is your mind making you believe something that has no substantial proof, that's not backed by anything, but you're really believing what your mind is telling you to believe based off of these chemicals that are being put into your brain, which is a symptom of PGR marijuana. Can you tell the difference here? I'm going to leave it silent for 6 seconds. You let me know which is which. See how green this is? See those natural red leaves, those hairs? You put it under a microscope, probably has beautiful trichomes. This with the stem on it probably has seeds in it. Emphasis on has seeds in it. You remember when back in the day you used to, be chiefing with your friends. And it's like that burnt smell. You're like, oh man, we done smoked the seed. You don't get that these days. There's no burnt smell like, oh man, we done popped the seed. The seeds don't exist anymore. A lot of these clone plants that they give you don't have seeds and they don't have stems. Okay? That's these what I'm pointing out to you is important to know. Okay? Important to know. Do you see all these patents just on cannabis alone? They're developing terpenes, bro. All right, let me finish up this lecture so I don't turn too preachy here. But everything I'm showing you is, I believe, to be important. Endocrine disruptors effects in adults, infertility, subfertility, increased risk of cancers like breast cancer, prostate cancer, testicular cancer, metabolic disorders, obesity, diabetes, which is increasing. As an herbalist, I've seen diabetes popping up like the common cold. Okay. Thyroid problems, a lot of Graves' disease going around, a lot of thyroid problems. Get you some coconut. Mood disorders, neurological problems, psychosis, cannabis-induced psychosis, you know, which is giving cannabis a bad rep. People are just saying cannabis in general is bad. No, it's just literal bad seeds. It's bad actors in the industry. Why would the government, let me not say that. When they made it legal, for me, a lot of red flags went off. So when I go to dispensaries, I'm looking hard, boy. If they don't have any natural marijuana in there, you know. Now, have I probably, you know, gotten some PGR in the past because I wasn't truly paying attention? For sure, right? Do I pay attention now? And have I been paying attention for years? Yes, for sure. Okay. If you live in a state where marijuana is recreational, grow your own marijuana. All right. It's going to take you a couple of months to get a couple pounds. Start today. If you have the seeds, start today. Okay. Prenatal development risk, disrupted brain development, early or delayed puberty, low sperm counts in males. You're trying to get your wife pregnant, but you just can't, no matter how much you do it. Reproductive malformations. Okay. Now, here's just a couple of other facts, you know. Atrazine has been shown to increase aromatase. Okay. It's the enzyme that turns testosterone into estrogen. You can read the others here. Pause to read. You got it? Okay, good. Now, this is why those frogs that I showed you in the video were turning into females. Okay. Their testosterone was turning into estrogen. You can see it in young men today. A lot of young men are acting like women and vice versa. A lot of young women are acting like men. Even if you're not smoking marijuana and you're eating these corn products, you know, you're eating fast food, even something as simple as chewing gum. You're going to Starbucks? Gotcha. Dunkin' Donuts, you're drinking a coffee there? Gotcha. I mean, boy, if you really sit down, go to Trader Joe's, go to Whole Foods, go to your local grocery store. If you got like an hour to spare, and start going up and down these aisles and looking at the ingredients, and your eyes are going to be huge by what we are actually consuming these days. Scary, because corn is used in more than 75%, even higher, I believe, more than 75 to 80% of our food products. And if you're eating burgers, the cows that make your burgers, they're eating the corn. You're eating chicken, the chicken that's you get that turns into your chicken breasts, they're eating corn. Atrazine has been found in drinking water, rainwater, and soil. So the soil that is being used to grow the marijuana, rainwater going directly into crops. So this lecture is not meant to scare you at all. It's meant to inform you. Now, I know some of you might not even make it to the end because cognitive dissonance was like, turn that dude off. We don't want to hear this. But for the people that are still here, now that you know better, it's a call to action. Inform other people. Check your food sources. If you're using marijuana, check the source of your marijuana, your cannabis. If you're eating beef, get to know the farmer. Ask them about their ethical practices. If you're eating packaged food, read the ingredients. I don't care how silly you look in the store. Every time I pick up something, if it's packaged, man, I'm the person in the middle of the aisle reading the ingredients. And if it's not to my liking, I put it right back down every single time. I'm the most annoying person probably to shop with. That's why I shop by myself. You know, same thing for my dog. I make sure he's taken care of too, right, Pluto? You know, I really don't think people are becoming more angry and violent because people are naturally angry and violent. It's the environment in which it's producing these attitudes, you know? The reason why you're seeing more hate online is because when you put this stuff into your body, your mood swings, your thought patterns, your mental state, your emotional state becomes uncontrollable to many, you know? So PGRs, performance growth regulators or plant growth regulators, they're herbicides. These herbicides are found in soil that's used to grow marijuana, cannabis. You see me looking off to the side. Sometimes I'm looking at flies. When you live off grid, sometimes these flies make a way into your home. Give me 1 second. Let me go swat this one fly 1 second. Final thoughts. Collect seeds, read the ingredients, know the source of your cannabis, grow your own food, inform other people. I truly appreciate you all watching this lecture. As I said before, if you like this lecture, be sure to like, subscribe, comment. It really helps the channel. All right. I'll see you all in the next lecture. Take care of yourself and each other. Peace.